Perfect. All right. Hi, everybody. So I decided to pop in, and as I mentioned, I wanted to be doing more Facebook Lives in this group. So I'm just going to hang on a few minutes. And what I've got my trusty little phone here so that I can see if people are on the group. So I'm just going to quickly check and then I'll get started. So just give me 1 second. I hope everybody's doing well. And here we are. I think I saw myself before. There we are. So that's an old one. All right. Well, we will try to see if we are on there. I think I saw. There we are. Let me just look at my computer. And if anybody is online and watching, please let me know you're here by adding a comment or a wave or a heart or something so that I'll know you're here. So I've been looking at people's questions and please keep them coming. Sorry, it's so dark. It is so gray and cloudy out here, and I definitely need to get some special lighting for this. But anyway, I've been looking at all your questions, and I know that here in Canada, as soon as Halloween is over, we start talking about Christmas. In the US, you guys are heading into Thanksgiving. So we're basically in the heart of holiday season. And a lot of people are feeling nervous or, as if it's something that they need to be careful around, which is totally understandable. And I used to really dread the holidays when I was first diagnosed with Candida. Like, I was someone who used the holidays as an excuse to basically pig out. And then when I was diagnosed, I dreaded the holidays because I felt it was so hard. You feel like everybody else is eating all this amazing food and you can't, and all you can think about are your restrictions and what happens when somebody offers you food. So I guess there's two aspects to it. There's the worrying about what you're going to eat just in general, but also the idea that other people are going to be pushing food on you, right? And this even still happens to me today. My family knows I eat this way. They know I've been eating this way for years. If anyone is on now watching, maybe you can just let me know in the comments if you can hear me. I'd love to. I'm just peeking at my other computer so that I can see. Because I hate when we start off and then I'm talking, and then I realize I'm talking and nobody can hear me. So just let me know in a comment. Just say yes or something like that. So, we are faced with this situation for the extent of months, like November, December, maybe even through till January, February, Valentine's Day. And then we have Easter, Passover, all these things. And we feel like we're being constantly bombarded with offers of food that we need to say no to. And it can be very uncomfortable, right? So what I wanted to look at is, why is that such an issue for people? I think it's important to understand what's going on there and why we feel that this is truly something that we dread, because it just feels so heavy. It feels like such a burden to have to deal with these issues. And that's apart from the actual food. Because I think for a lot of people, we do just fine when we're on our own. We cook our food, we're happy with it, or at least we're totally used to it. And then when something like this unusual holiday situation comes up, we feel like we have to break our usual pattern and go with what everybody suggests. And so you might find that you're doing really, really well and you're cooking your own food. Maybe you're bringing food to work, whatever it may be. And then when you get into this situation of parties and holiday dinners and family dinners, suddenly that pressure from without is overwhelming, and you just eat all those traditional foods because that's what everybody else is eating, right? So that's what I would like to look at, and why it's a problem and how we can deal with it. So I think, first of all, we know we should stand up for ourselves, but it feels so difficult. And part of the reason is that literally this is hardwired into us. Online, you'll see a lot of businesses that talk about their tribes. And I actually really dislike using that word, so that you guys in here, I prefer to think of you as the healthy eating family or even clan, but tribe doesn't sit well with me. However, it is truly a tribal thing. So if you go back to the prehistoric age, our brains haven't changed that much in the last 100,000 years. So the way we developed, if you think about how primitive humans developed so that we could survive, it's actually part of our survival instinct, believe it or not. Because the idea was, if you are hunting lions or you are hunting wild boar or whatever it might be out there, human beings finally figured out that we work better in groups than we do individually. So if there was just, a father and a mother, the mother was taking care of the baby back in the cave, the father went out hunting and he was trying to catch a lion or a boar or whatever it might be, his chances of succeeding were pretty small one-on-one, especially without guns, all the weapons we have now. He was just using probably a club, and his wily nature and trying to outsmart the animal. So very hard to club a lion to death when it's eating you. However, when they figured out that we work better in groups and you put the collective intelligence and the collective strength of maybe a half a dozen or 10 men together, they can outwit that lion, maybe create a trap for it, divert it, all these different things that you can do so that as a group, their chance of killing that prey and eating that prey was much, much, much like exponentially higher. So this became hardwired as part of the survival instinct in people, that when we are part of a group and we work cooperatively, we actually have a greater chance of survival. And believe it or not, that instinct is what we have now passed down through the ages to us. And whether or not we're being chased by lions or chasing lions, it's still something that we have hardwired into our brains, that it feels like a matter of survival, like a matter of life and death, that we belong to this tribe, whatever our tribe is, and that we are part of the group. And so if you're familiar with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we have food and shelter down on the bottom, safety, those kind of things, belongingness, being part of a social group, is what's considered one of our absolute essential needs that need to be met in life for us to be healthy and for us to live well. It's similar to, if you've read studies, the idea that studies have shown over and over and over again that the people who live the longest, and you actually increase your chances of living a long life if you're part of a social group, if you have a strong social network. So people who have more friends that they consider close friends, or a greater family, those are the ones who actually live longer. And it doesn't have to be a blood family, right? So people who are in a religious group where they have a community that they are part of, they feel like they're part of a group, those people will live longer. So if you look at all those different factors, that's something that we all share and that is important for all of us. And then you transplant that into a setting of like the holidays, where you might be the only one, or you might be one of a few people who has to eat completely differently from the rest of the group. Well, just the fact of your being different sets us apart, right? In my family, I'm the only one who eats this way. So that can trigger feelings of being an outcast or not belonging right there. It can come from within, but also it can come from the other people in the group. And so that's where I think for many of us, we have to remember that this is something that's just, it's a natural response, but we don't necessarily have to give into it. So the feelings of wanting to belong are very, very strong. But in my opinion, the feelings of wanting your own health should be stronger. So what we need to learn to do is to stand up for our own health and respond to those kind of invitations or the little tricks or whatever it is that people are going to be doing to try to get us to eat things that we know we shouldn't be eating. We need to be strong enough internally to say no to that and to stand up to the fact that maybe we are eating differently. On the other hand, that doesn't mean that you have to be considered outside the tribe or not part of the tribe. So there's a trick to responding in a way that doesn't alienate the other people, right? Or creating a situation where everybody is sharing in the food, could be your food. And then you are inviting them to be part of your tribe. I think another aspect of this that's so important is to find people who are on a similar journey. So, like in the Sweet Life Club, we have everybody in there who is eating a restricted diet, and it's almost the same diet in every case. Most of the people in there have done a candida diet or are in the middle of doing a candida diet. You have a few people with other dietary needs because of health issues like maybe Lyme disease, but everybody understands that the people in there are not your typical eaters. They don't eat gluten, they don't eat sugar, they generally don't eat eggs, they might not eat certain other animal products, even if they're omnivorous eaters. And so it's just a more comfortable place where you feel like you belong. Because if you're the only one in your community or in your circle of friends who eats the way you do, you need to find other people that you can speak to about the diet, commiserate with, ask for advice, share triumphs with people that you feel are your community, are your tribe, so that you don't lose that essential sense of belongingness. And that really will help a lot too when you go back to the family and you need to be the one who's different because you already know that you have your community back outside somewhere else. So I hope that's useful. I definitely also wanted to mention for Thanksgiving coming up, um, I mentioned this earlier at Canadian Thanksgiving, but now with American Thanksgiving, the Easy as Pie program is available again. And so if you're looking for ways to make that prep easier for yourself, this is an amazing mini program. It follows every single day from day 1 to day 6 before Thanksgiving, and it allows you to prepare a menu that you can share. So if you're looking for that sense of connectedness, you know, sometimes it has to come from you, right? It can't always come from the other people around you. So if you want to be the one to create that community and maybe shift that community a little bit and yet still stay connected to the people around you, that's a fantastic way to do it, is for you to bring, if not the whole menu, some of the menu, right? Which is what I do every time I go to my friend's house for holidays. Every time I go back home to visit my family, I always bring food with me. So if you're looking for recipes, if you're looking for strategies and tactics and ways to breeze through Thanksgiving, Easy as Pie is coming back. And for anybody on my email list, if you're on the Sweet Life wait list, I've got a really, I think, fantastic offer for you with Easy as Pie combined with a month of the Sweet Life. That's coming up this weekend. So if you're not on the list yet, subscribe to the newsletter because you're going to get that special deal, which is only going to the Sweet Life wait list people. I'm not going to be mentioning this on my main email list, and I'm not going to be mentioning it anywhere else except this group. So that's something that is kind of a special early bird before the Sweet Life actually opens up next month. I see a comment here, and what is Georgina saying? Sorry, Georgina. Oh no, it's Bonnie. In addition, there's the temptation to satisfy emotional stress through food. Yeah, I think emotional stress is a different issue, but you're absolutely right, because I think at the holidays, you know, certainly we have emotional stress. It's possible to have it all year round. Like that's undeniable too in our modern world, and with work pressures and family pressures and everybody's go, 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 and social media pressures and all those things. However, I agree. I think at the holiday time, there's more than likely more emotional stress for a lot of people. So, you know, being aware of that too, I think is very, very important, and dealing with the emotional stress. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I love my family, but that is the time I feel the most emotional stress during the calendar year, right? Is when I go back to Montreal, where my family is, and if we're sharing a holiday meal or whatever, it can be extremely stressful. You have different, you know, everybody has their own family dynamics, and certain relatives that might not, you know, might rub you the wrong way, or even just people who might bring up your diet, right? Because I don't know about you guys, I'd be curious to know whether it's more from your family or more from your other social circles. If you're feeling that pressure to eat differently, does that happen more at the holidays? Let me know in the comments. So you know, I know certainly for me, like I said, my family knows I eat this way, and they have known I eat this way for over a decade. And yet, the last time my husband and I went to a family holiday dinner in Montreal, because we don't always go back to Montreal, since it's quite far from where we live. Um, there was nothing on the table I could eat, literally nothing on the table I could eat. And my sister knows my diet, but she was in her holiday mentality, and she was making dishes that were our family traditional dishes. I don't know if she forgot or what, but it was lucky that I had brought something, which I always do. And so I was able to eat that. But, that can be very stressful for people. If your family isn't supporting the way you eat or even aware of it, what you need to be sure that you're the one who's making those changes and who is enlightening people in a way that isn't pushing them to eat this way necessarily, but just in a way that stands up for your right to eat food that is going to be helpful and support your body. So emotional issues and emotional stress, there's so many things we can do for that to alleviate emotional stress. And I think it's really important, like Bonnie, you identified the first step, which is understanding that your stress is an emotional issue and that you're eating for emotional reasons, right? So are you eating because you're truly hungry, or are you eating because you want that food to somehow make you feel better, act as a comfort, help to calm you down, whatever it may be? And so many of us, I think, tend to use food that way, especially in modern Western society, right? It's part of the way we grew up. Food is so often associated with comfort and nurturing and reward that it just makes sense. But understanding that is the first step to moving beyond it in a way that we don't have to use food to support us emotionally, and find other ways to comfort yourself and calm yourself down. I'm just going to see if there's any other. So Karen says, how do I sign up for the newsletter? So if you go to, and I'll put this in here too. I'll put a link below. If you go to rickyheller.com/sweet-life. So it's the word sweet, a dash, and life. You'll go to the Sweet Life page, and there's a big button at the top that says get on the wait list. So that's the button you click, and then it'll take you to a form you can fill out. And that's the Sweet Life wait list. What that does for you is it allows you to be the first to know when registration opens next month. But also, anytime that there's a special offer like this one. This is Thanksgiving only, where I'm going to be combining the Easiest Pie program with 1 month of the Sweet Life. I think it's an amazing deal because the Easiest Pie program it's a $47 course, and 1 month of the Sweet Life is only $27.95. So for $27.95, you're getting both, and you get to keep the course. There's no obligation to stay in the Sweet Life. If you join for a month and you don't like it, you can cancel anytime, but you still get to keep the Easiest Pie course, which gives you the full menu for Thanksgiving. And it's way more than just recipes. It's tips about how to deal with family and friends, things, actual scripts to respond, and ways to plan the meal, and so on. So it's a little bit of information each day for 6 days. So something like that. But, sometimes there are other offers with the Sweet Life. So as an example, I'm thinking about Black Friday coming up, and I think there's going to be something for Black Friday. So anytime there's something like that, you'll be the first to know on the wait list, and also the first to know when registration opens and when it's going to close, because it's not open all year round. We have like a window where the club is open, and then the rest of the year, I want to devote myself 100% to serving those people in the club the best way I can. And I want to be focused on giving them everything they need. And so if we have people coming in throughout the year on an irregular basis, that kind of deflects my attention from the people who are already in there. And I think they get a better experience when I can focus on them 100% of the time that I'm in that club. When we have our live talks, when I create recipes for them, all the different things that happen in there. And I don't know, I thought I saw somebody who was in the group on here before. So if you are in the group and you want to say something about it, please feel free to tell people, a little bit about it. So Bonnie is saying, I recently returned from a family wedding, including the nonstop meals. And pardon my reading this way, I'm just looking at my other computer above this one. To take best care of me, I reached out to my sister who was having brunch at her home and asked for the menu. We were able to work something out for me. I think it helped me having the advance notice. Absolutely, that is such a fantastic way to approach it. And it is so lovely to see that your sister was supportive and that she was willing to do that. And most of our family will, if we approach them in a heartfelt way, and it's someone that you trust and you feel comfortable with. of course they don't want you to be unhealthy, right? They don't want you to suffer. So if you approach people with that kind of an angle to what, to the way that you describe the situation, you want them to know this is for your health and this is something that is going to benefit you. I have found most people are more than willing to be accommodating, honestly. If you can approach them before the fact, give them some time, and even suggest that you could help. So if you're willing to do some of the work for them and make it easier for them, even more so, they're happy to help as much as they can. So I think that sounds like a really a win-win for everybody, Bonnie. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions or comments that people have. I don't see any more comments there. So I wanted to just sort of give that as a piece of foundational information, because I think when we understand why something's happening, so often it's so much easier to approach that situation in a way that's going to be beneficial to us. So keeping that in mind, if you know that that's what's going on, then you can try to avoid that reaction and do something like what Bonnie did, or even in terms of being able to be firm on your own stance about what's best for you and thinking about the consequences, right? So what will happen if you do give in to that? I know it can be so challenging at the holidays because there are so many foods. I know certainly when I speak to clients, when I speak to people in the Sweet Life about why the holidays are so challenging, so much of it comes down to, it's not the food per se, right? Like, I'll just give you an example. I'm going to visit my dad this weekend. My dad is 97 and he's starting to just now, he's 97, he's just starting to lose it mentally. He's been totally sharp, totally with it until like just 2-3 months ago. So, but he still knows who I am. But he sometimes just mixes up past and present memories a little bit. Well, my mom was a great baker, and her best her best product, the thing that she was known for, she was like famous in our circles in the family for this, was her chiffon cake, which is like a sponge cake. So it's a very airy, light, very high cake. And that was my dad's favorite dessert of all time. So same sort of thing, right? It has such an emotional pull for him, because especially now that my mom is gone, she's been gone for over 25 years. But I have 2 sisters, and for whatever reason, we're all bakers, but for whatever reason, I'm the one who seems to be able to recreate that cake in a way that it's like hers. Although I haven't done this for many years, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to try to bake this cake for him while he still can remember it and appreciate it and enjoy it. And I know that's going to give him such emotional satisfaction. The cake itself is not the most delicious cake, to be honest. It's very plain. It's a little bit dry. It's not too sweet. But I think it's the emotional connection that my mom used to bake this, and now he's getting this cake again. It's going to bring back a flood of memories. It's just going to be a really heartwarming and happy moment for him. And I think when we look at our holiday dishes, it's kind of the same thing, right? We have a tradition around it. We have all these family memories and the family history around it. You know, your particular sweet potato casserole, or your stuffing that your family makes, or your whatever it is, that's your special food that your family makes. That's what really evokes those emotions in us. And so for me, a big part of retaining that part of the holiday is recreating those emotions with recipes that can replace those. So for a lot of the people that I've worked with, what happens is they use their new candida-friendly recipes, or their new sugar-free recipes, or grain-free recipes, or whatever they are, that can look and taste the same, and then they can share those with their family. And in a way, you're starting a new tradition, but you're not losing that emotional connection, because we all know that a pumpkin pie is a pumpkin pie. We all know that a pecan pie is a pecan pie. We all know what stuffing looks like, right? So it's still the same food, and it can evoke those same feelings. So that's another way. All right, I don't see any other comments. Anything else that people wanted to ask or mention around this topic? And if you're watching this later, please do add your questions, comments, observations, anything around this topic here, because I will come back and take a look and I'll answer your questions. And let me know, and you can do it here or you can do it separately. Let me know what other topics you would like to talk about in here before we get through the holidays, because I think it can make a huge difference when you're prepared and when you have some strategies and tactics that will help you to navigate them without that stress, right? Or at least alleviate the stress to a great extent and make it so much smoother to get through, especially if this is your first holiday on a restricted diet with dietary restrictions. It can make a huge difference if you have those strategies in place and if you have this community around you. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if it was, and let me know what else you would like me to cover in the weeks coming up towards Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and I will take it from there. So have a great day, everybody, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.